My name is LaPoint, retired from the Navy, 92 years old. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I'll take it as long as it lasts. Yeah. He's got a plan for me.
You got a plan.
Maybe he's waiting for me to hit 100. But anyway, I served on a lot of ships and all different kinds of ships.
And how long were you in the Navy?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. Brought up in the Depression, and my mother dying when I was 3, 4 years old, and being, swapped back and forth from one family to the other. I had never had 3 meals a day. When I joined the Navy, and they served me 3 meals a day, I found a home.
So the USS Bristol DD-453 was your ship?
Yeah.
That was the ship that you were on?
Yeah. It was quite dangerous. Sometimes we spent days. If you were up on the pilot house or up on watch up there somewhere in that superstructure, and the weather got real bad, you had to stay there. With water running over the deck and everything, nobody could come from after part of the ship to the forward part of the ship. I could tell you things you wouldn't believe me. We used to call it over one and under one. There were times when this bow of the ship right here was totally underwater. As the sea would be coming towards you, you would go up on the top of the wave, and then all of a sudden it would drop down and go under the next one.
So over one and under one.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you got out of the Navy, tell me about the rank that you...
Chief Fire Controlman.
Chief Fire Controlman.
That's not controlling fires, that's controlling gunfire. Yeah. Up here, where I showed you, is the gun director. And it controls the gunfire for the whole ship. So up in that, my job was, I was rangefinder operator and radar operator, up in that director up there. I went in the Navy in August on my 17th birthday.
So you got into the Navy, and then 5 months later, Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
It was a big question mark in my mind. What next? The captain brought us all down into the mess hall and told us that, we were going to fight that ship any way it was necessary. And anybody who didn't want to, just say so, and he'd transfer them off to the next.
Get off the ship right now.
yeah. Anytime they wanted to. Yeah. We had been on the invasion of Sicily, and on the invasion of Italy, and we've been there for at least 3 months. We were running low on food and everything, and running low on morale, and almost every night we went out to escort landings behind the enemy. During that period of time, which was several months, there had been at least 6 destroyers that had been sunk in that same area. We picked up survivors off of 2 of them.
So here you are 2 years into the Navy, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just another day, or so you thought.
Yeah.
And then it happens.
So we were on our way to Oran in Algiers for liberty. So none of us, we weren't worried about battle activity.
So you thought, anyway.
We thought, yeah. It was a big surprise.
Yeah. 4 o'clock in the morning, October 13th, 1943.
So at 3:45, I went up into that director, which is, I said, 53 feet off the water, and sat down, checked out what was going on and everything, and then very shortly thereafter, a big boom. Yeah. Picked me up totally, picked up my body, maybe 6-8 inches off where I was sitting on, and bound down. Everybody started grabbing their life jacket. We knew we were hit with a torpedo because there was nothing else around. Threw the hatch cover open on top of that director and got out in the front, and the ship was, the bow was going up, and so I knew we were sinking. So I slid down the vertical portion, which
was not vertical at that time.
It was not. No, it was not. It was about 25, 30 degrees off the vertical. Yeah, to the next deck just below. And I could see the bow. It was dark, but I could see the bow way up there. So then I looked over the side, I had no choice. What do? I jump. So that's what I did. I just jumped in the water from about maybe 30, 40 feet, somewhere like that. I didn't know what was going to happen next, of course. I didn't see anybody. There was only one thing to do.
Stay alive.
Yeah, just keep swimming, Get away from it when it goes down. No smoke, no fire, just water, dark. And about 10 minutes or so later, I could hear voices. So I swam towards the men I heard talking and the whistles that I heard. And there were a couple of life rafts. They were joined together. And so I just stayed next to the life rafts. We saw something coming towards us, and everybody said, quiet, it may be the submarine, picking up prisoners. So we didn't say anything until we identified it as a Navy ship, our Navy ship. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah, it was the Trip, just another destroyer.
Another destroyer.
That came alongside where all the survivors were, and everybody climbed aboard.
Okay.
One way or another, ladder or line, pulled me up onto the main deck. First thing they did was wipe all the oil off your face because you were covered with fuel oil. It was all over.
They couldn't tell who you were.
No. So then they escorted me to the showers. They gave us a 30-day leave. I went home, of course, to what you want to call it home, where my stepmother and my father were living. I got real tired of being there. I was there for just maybe a week. I wanted to get out of there because people from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, but they kept coming to the house wanting me to appear and make a presentation at their headquarters because I was a so-called survivor. I was no hero. He was really, we went on liberty together, got drunk together, got in fights together, and yeah. I almost had to carry him back to the ship many times. Yeah. He was below decks. He was a fire controlman also, and
but he was down.
Yeah, he was below decks when it happened. Yeah, and I think about him a lot, and talking about it again, and thinking about where he was, and yeah, he wasn't the survivor. Yeah.
I understand you were offered a Purple Heart.
Yeah, well, they come around and ask you, I saw guys we picked up with their arms almost cut off and really hurting, the survivors that we picked up. You don't get a Purple Heart, in my book, unless you really got a bad wound, yeah.
So you didn't take it?
No.
You've never shared this story with anybody?
No, I didn't think it was important enough. It was just something you had to do at the time. Something you had to do, and you did it. You didn't even think about being afraid when you were doing it.
That's what you were there for.
Yeah, you were just doing what you were trained to do.
I believe it was Tom Brokaw that sort of coined the phrase that your generation's the finest generation in American history, and that we as Americans are really defined by the way your generation and so many World War II vets felt about their service, and that we really didn't do anything special.
That's exactly it. There was nothing. I didn't think there was anything special.
Well, I can assure you that I not only speak for myself, but everybody who's ever going to watch this video would say that we think it's something special.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have endured what you've endured, so that we might be able to sleep at night. I mean, that's true. That's pretty significant, and I want to make sure that our gratitude is expressed to you and to all who have fought and all who have sort of given up their own lives for the sake of so many others.
Yeah.
I am truly, truly grateful. And I can't say
thank you. Yeah.
That picture was about this ship 73 years ago today.
Yeah.
Tell me about that picture.
That picture is a sketch that was made by a person on the ship who was an artist. And he got together on the ship that picked us up, and they talked. A group of men talked about what they saw when the ship was going down.
So there's only two living people who have a copy of that picture. And
Yeah.
they are you and
you.
me.
I haven't given it to anybody else.
So the picture that the folks are looking at right now is the actual original copy of it.
Yeah,
And the picture that you gave to me was a photocopied picture of that.
right.
And I have to tell you, I'll cherish that as a
good.
gift from you.
Good.
You
Yeah,
know,
good.
I think it deserves to be in a museum.
It's very significant when I look at it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to tell me your story, and thanks for giving us a little bit of your afternoon.
Oh, good.
And thanks for doing what you did.
I'm glad to do it. Glad to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Glad to do it. Yeah. Yeah.